and Hanover County. Hanover Safe Place formed as a task force. At the time, it was the Hanover Domestic Violence Task Force in 1990. At that time, victims of sexual and domestic violence were receiving services from the YWCA in Richmond, and what providers with the police department, Department of Social Services, mental health, Commonwealth's attorney, and citizens were finding is that when they came across somebody who needed that service, who was from Hanover County and the town of Ashland, they were reluctant to go to Richmond to receive those services. So we really came out of an identified community need, that they recognized that there was an issue and what was in place was not meeting the needs of our community. So that task force was formed, and in 1995 we became incorporated, and at that time we're still Hanover Domestic Violence Task Force. And hired our first staff member. Since that time, we have grown, and we now have 9 staff members. We have added, at the time we were just domestic violence services, and like so many agencies in the Commonwealth, we are now a dual agency that addresses sexual and domestic violence, and at that time we changed our name to incorporate that added service and became Hanover Safe Place. So some old-timers still call us Hanover Domestic Violence Task Force. In Hanover, some things die hard, I think. And so I have been at the agency. This January actually marks my 9th year at Hanover Safe Place, and we have changed quite a bit since I came. In the 9 years I've been here, we have doubled our budget as an agency. We have almost doubled our staff, and we have just kind of expanded the services that we provide. We now provide a wealth of housing services because one of the barriers for domestic violence victims is being able to leave, and so many of you may have heard of rapid rehousing and housing assistance that the federal government kind of changed, and we have thus changed in the state. We provide rapid rehousing services for domestic and sexual violence victims in Hanover and the town of Ashland, but also all of the COC for domestic violence victims. We are kind of the money holder for our COC for domestic violence victims. So that was a big expansion for us. Every year we serve over 1,500 individuals. That's an unduplicated number from our variety of services. So that is our rapid rehousing program, court accompaniment services, counseling through an MSW full-time counselor, case management, and hospital accompaniment services. We also have anywhere between 1,200 to 1,800 hotline calls a year, and do a wealth of presentations throughout our community. We had 151 outreach events last year as an agency. And so for an agency of 9, that's full and part-time staff, we're about 6 full-time equivalent staff. We really, I think, are a good value for the state dollars that we use and the community giving that we receive. I have, for most of my life, worked at a nonprofit, and I really recognize and understand that we would not be here if it weren't for concerned community citizens, if it weren't for taxpayers' dollars who are earmarking those funds to provide our service. And so we're very conscientious of how we use those dollars and want to ensure that we are providing the community services in a way that meets their needs. And we are fortunate because we did start off as a task force that we still have a lot of those same investors, those same concerned community members as a part of our board of directors. And so Chief Goodman sits on our board, the Commonwealth's attorney, someone from the Sheriff's Department. We have also had people from the Department of Social Services and Mental Health. And that's a real tie-in to make sure that we are connecting with what our partners in the field see as a need for our community. And so we are very fortunate. This is the 5th nonprofit I've worked at, and I've never had as much community involvement and connection with department heads of other partner agencies. So we're very fortunate in that respect.